Thank you, everybody in the audience, for joining us here today. I see so many friendly faces. The conversation that we are going to facilitate today is really one that is a long time coming, and these are some of the most innovative marketers I have had the pleasure of working with. And really, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to dig into this meaty topic. So we'll go down the line. Kanya, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kanya Heng. I'm the Vice President of Analytics at RPA Advertising.
Hi, I'm Joe Keating. I lead analytics for Hill's Pet Nutrition for the USA.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christopher McCauley. I am a VP of Performance Analytics at Material.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lana Rainier, and I lead North America Media Analytics Insights for Procter & Gamble.
All right, and they're up here because they are some of the early users of a product that, that you all heard about this morning on the main stage from Matt, Daniela, and Scott as well. And really today what we're going to unpack with you is how they are leaning in to this really exciting area of innovation in cross-media. Many of you participate in this kind of measurement. I know I have been working in it for the better part of 20 years, which is a little bit frightening to say. But really, when we look at as digital advertising came to market in roughly 20 years ago, we all got very excited and enthusiastic about the signals that we had the opportunity to work with. We had impression data that we had never had before coming from traditional media channels. We had impression data and we had conversion signals. Not only did we have conversion signals online in terms of clicks or digital events, but we also had these offline activities we could connect. So we spent the last 20 years getting excited about it, working with it in different ways, and then consumers decided that privacy was important to them. And all of these marketers up here really chose to take steps forward, going back many years, acknowledging that privacy was going to change the way that we needed to do measurement, and it became really important innovation partners with us. So with that background, I'm now going to dive into to some really tactical insights from all of them about how they think about cross-media measurement, what they're doing, and how it's changing their businesses. So, with the preamble, Lana, I'm going to start with you down there. Please tell us a little bit about how you think about cross-media measurement in the context of P&G strategy.
Sure. I'm always excited to talk about cross-media measurement. And so for Procter & Gamble, as we think about our strategy, we're at the end of the day trying to grow our brands and our markets. And to do that, we're trying to ensure our consumers are aware of and have the latest information on our products and offerings, and that they can understand what is the superior products that they can use through relevant advertising and media that comes at the right time and the right moments to really help them find products that meet their specific needs and their jobs to be done, whether that's clean clothes or dazzling and healthy teeth or clean and conditioned hair. And so as we think about cross-media measurement, that's critical to us understanding how we effectively reach those consumers and how we do that at the most efficient cost. It also helps us understand holistically what is the 360 view of the consumer, where and how are we reaching those consumers, how do we find the most effective points of reach, and then how do we think about reinvesting any savings we get through that superior communication back into fuel brand growth.
Okay. So a lot of putting the consumer at the middle and really speaking to them in the right ways at the right times. Kanya, let's talk about how you think about bringing this from an agency perspective to your customers.
Yeah, so from an agency perspective, cross-media measurement helps us from anything from budgetary planning to media mix optimization, and ultimately driving business KPIs and lowering the cost of selling. From my perspective, this comes in two forms. Number one is we're seeing a resurgence in marketing mix models. So we've seen the brands that I support kind of double down on their MMMs. They're becoming more granular. They're being updated more frequently because it is a privacy-safe solution to measuring how your different media and marketing touch points drive ultimate business KPIs for a brand. On the other end of the spectrum, We have tools such as LiveRamp's lift and attribution product, which give us kind of cross-media measurement in an apples-to-apples comparison point from anything from digital, connected TV, streaming, and linear TV, so we can compare how these channels perform against each other, make decisions on where our dollars should go, and also help optimize within a campaign and fuel that feedback loop for future campaigns.
I love it, using the higher level marketing mix modeling in conjunction with the person level analytics. Fantastic examples. Now, Joe, tell me, what first really pushed your organization to invest in cross-media and really dig into figuring it out?
Yeah, we were one of those companies who've been leaning very heavily on marketing mix for a long time. And we'd got to a cadence where we're updating the models on a monthly basis, and it was great, but you just don't get the granularity of insights that you really need. And so we decided that this is something we wanted to do. I'm very glad that we did it. We're a pet company. I'm glad that we did it at the peak of COVID when the business was growing significantly, and it was easier to get the funding. But it was really to get to that level of insight that we were really lacking.
Awesome. Okay, so the moment of a lot of pet growth gave you the boost to really invest, and now you continue to do it in pretty tremendous ways. One of the things I'm going to ask you to just double click on a little bit is how you are both working with your publisher partners, both in one-to-one partnerships as well as in the cross-media context. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you're using both of those things together?
Yeah, I mean, we started working with one publisher who has really been a driving force from the start, and always appreciate the support that we've got. Starting to look at the cross-stream attribution has been a real highlight for us, and understanding the concept that we call kind of better together has been a real boost to the business. And so much so that one of the major tasks that we have now is really thinking about how we coordinate our media across different publishers in a much more curated way now.
Very good. Well, I'm going to ask you to talk about that more as we keep going. Christopher, how have you been helping your customers really operationalize around cross-screen or cross-media measurement outcomes?
Yeah, so we're a little bit different position from my counterparts on the stage. So we're an insights group. We are sort of a third-party evaluator on behalf of some of our clients. So one specific example, we have a CPG client. They're very challenged with the B2B to C. How do you make that leap to looking at how that impacts consumer sales? So when we adopted the product, it was our second year of actually working with them. And we had a lot of other pieces of data that we'd been providing them, financial tracking. We had a brand health tracker. And picking this up, we needed to make some quick wins with it, I think. So getting some buy-in from our clients was really important. Understanding their seasonality was really important for us. We're moving into our second year with them, and I think the challenge for us is now, how do we bring this to a different group outside of marketing? So there's a lot of interest in how we unify the data. Usually they had just looked at their key season. They're starting to make investments outside of that key season, so there's a lot of eyes on the data that we're providing back to them. So very interesting to see how this shakes out at the end of the year, but it has been a very interesting first year and second year of engagement.
Okay, so you're teeing up this idea of new hypotheses, new questions, and really operationalizing the data and the technology against your next set of business questions. I think that we've all tried to do this in different ways with different measurement tools. Joe, I'm going to turn to you and ask specifically, now that you're thinking about doing this in a clean room architecture, so it's not just in a kind of cookie-based structure or everybody send all your data to me. In that architecture, what has it opened for you? What has it made different in the way that you're working with your partners?
Yeah, it actually has transformed the way that we execute media. I mean, I think, go back 3-4 years, the measurement was something that we did on a deep dive on a kind of biannual basis. We would provide updates, but it was kind of like our contact with the media team sort of ended there. And now it really is a partnership. It's something that we're constantly working at. And, it means that there's a constant thread in terms of our activity that, we have a line of sight to. We work very hard to make sure that we we're planning what we're doing throughout the year, and that's been a real game changer for us. And that partnership is going from strength to strength.
I love just a memory. Joe and I were in this building. I think the first year we had it at the Marriott, so 2 years ago, and we were upstairs in a room, and he really had brought together his agency and a consulting partner, Numberly, who I think is out there, and they fundamentally were structuring learning agendas here at this event together to make sure that they were not just acquiring the technology for kind of set it and forget it, but rather truly investing and operationalizing to the outcomes. So I had to share that story. It's because they've now written the playbook and are running with regular quarterly learning agendas and working with many publishers to make it successful. Okay, so Joe's off to the races with learning agendas in the clean room. Kanya, hands on keyboard. Kanya is an amazing data scientist, just a major plug for her personally. And really, your hands on keyboard with the data in the clean room. What makes it the future different for you when you think about the opportunities of more and more publishers participating in the way you look at data today? What are you most excited about?
So I love the idea. Right now, we're currently using the clean room to look at marketing and marketing touch point to offline sales. And that's been a huge game changer because now you can optimize not only on your media proxies, but your ultimate business KPIs. But as far as what I'm looking forward to, I come from the analytics side, and I think it's so beautiful having it be a choose your own adventure type of measurement approach, because you're gonna give some of that creativity to the data scientists and the marketing analysts out there. And I think those people, because they see what these data tables look like, they see what the quality of the data is, they're gonna be able to ask business questions that we could have never imagined previously. And the answers that come out of that are gonna be solutions that we could use to drive strategy. I think on the other end of the spectrum, I love the idea, and I'm really looking forward to this democratization of data. Data's for everybody. It's not just for the select from where people. It's for people that can use the insights to drive, business, sales, the marketing folks, the product planners out there, whatever it may be that can help them make strategic decisions for their line.
I love the way that you talk about this idea of so many of the current measurement solutions that are in market that we support and others are trying. They have this dynamic where it's a one-size model fits all. So really the same models are used to measure Lana's products as they're used to measure Honda cars. And that difference really is likely not how us as consumers actually make those decisions. Those are very different decisions. I use the teeth whitener, and I also drive a Honda. So the dynamics here of truly letting data scientists get into it's really hard to get the data together and get the architecture together. Let's get the data ready, let's get it safe and protected, and then really let's let unique businesses drive value off that data in a way that's really never been done before. I'm getting very excited, if you can't tell. Now I want to talk about challenges. We've talked a lot about the exciting things here and the opportunities. It isn't all butterflies and bubblegum. There are some challenges still in the market as we are attempting this and executing it. I think, Chris, maybe I'll start with you in what you see as challenges facing us as we're all working on this together.
First one would be challenging long-standing notions, like the investment from some of our clients is very, very heavy in linear TV. So you find yourself maybe swimming upstream to find proof points, to say how you divide your investment, your mix is gonna be something that people have adopted and held for years, and that's a really challenging notion, right? I think moving past that, obviously there's the technical challenges that might come from walled gardens. So you have your media buyers come back and say, this is our recommendation for a campaign, and we can track maybe 65, 70, on a good day, 80% of what's passing through, but there's our blind spots. I think, like my counterparts on stage, MMM is still part of our quiver, if you will, and we still have to rely on that, and then reconciling those two things. A top-down model and a bottom-up model can have its challenges when you're seeing two different sets of insights. But that notion of kind of going back to the first point of how we look at the funnel, that investment, our client was very big into a brand tracker that we'd looked at for 8-9 years, and to see that awareness is, pretty consistent. and what can we do to actually make that swing, and how that impacts your bottom line is where all the eyes are right now.
I love it. So really digging in deeper, understanding the nuance of operationalizing it, and then triangulating that with the top-down model sometimes can be a challenge, and squaring it all out and then making recommendations. Lana, tell me, where do you see the most challenges arising as we tackle this?
Sure. I think the biggest challenges are probably around scale as we think about needing objective, complete, and scalable measurement across all those touch points, which there are a lot of touch points we're interacting as consumers every day now. And so with that does come the need for standard data fields and high fidelity data signals. Chris, as you were talking about, we need to make sure we're capturing all the impressions that are coming through from a publisher so that we really understand that complete picture. And just thanks to our partners who are out there who are already doing that with us today, because we've seen a step change when we can get that high fidelity data signal in. We see increased coverage of our holistic impressions, which helps us better understand when and how we're reaching consumers and how we can optimize to get better so that we do drive that effective reach and can invest for growth. And so those become really important. Work's not done. As we continue to expand with partners and data, it becomes about efficient processes. How do we get automated QA in place for the data, the queries, the reports, so that we can really just continue to make that more and more efficient so that we can accelerate our focus on outcomes.
I love the context. In the kind of meeting in the middle, I see so many publisher partners out there right now working incredibly hard to ensure that this data asset that they have is ready for collaboration. We often say collaboration ready, and sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it's systems that weren't in place 2 or 3 years ago, and the brands are challenging you to invest. And I think there is a good, graceful meet in the middle happening right now where there's empathy on both sides. So keep going. And Joe, maybe you can tell us, as you've been on this journey, when you have really gotten to that place with a publisher or set of publishers, what is the outcome for them when they really have the good high fidelity data and they're learning together with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting concept about whose data is it anyway. I mean, if I go into a store, I expect to get a receipt. And if we're spending money with publishers, we should be getting something back in return to prove to see what it's doing. And I think done in the right way, this can be a win-win situation. I think the idea, I mean, every publisher wants us to come and spend more with them year over year. And I think the best way to do that is to prove that it's working and refine accordingly. And I think that's where we're getting to, is really getting to the stage where we're breaking down the doors of what we can access and what we're using it for. And I think, this idea of being scared about your data commingling with someone else's, that is it going to put us in a bad light? Well, if it's not good, we should change it and we should improve it. And I think that's really what we're aiming for, is what are the outcomes that work for everyone?
I love the story you just used there of the partners who've leaned in and really invested in getting the data clean, getting the measurement cycles established with you, are the ones where you are able to improve the ROI of your investment. And so implicitly or explicitly, the media's working harder, the dollars are working harder, and eventually they are earning more of your investment.
Yeah, and just an add to that, I mean, I think the timeliness of that is so critical. Where we were talking quarterly updates in the past and then not necessarily able to action until a following year cycle, that was a huge frustration on our side. So when we can get that more regular update and make the changes, think about it on the fly, it just leads to a much more dynamic situation for us.
All right, very good. Well, thank you so much for all your stories. We're gonna wrap it up now with two kind of big questions. I'm going to ask you each to answer them both at the same time. So two questions loaded in one. When it comes to cross-media in the coming years, what are you most excited about? And then second, if there's folks out in the audience who haven't gotten started yet, what would you tell them to do to get started? And Kanya, I'm going to start with you. So you got to go first.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm really excited about the creativity kind of going back into the data side of things. I think that's just, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's so beautiful. I think we're going to get business questions that have never been asked before. And I think what action that people should take coming out of this is that, so I've had to go through the 5 stages of grief with what I'm about to say, and that is, The data is going to be fragmented. There's always going to be gaps in your measurement, and it's going to be okay. You know, I think with a really solid business question that's really carefully crafted, high quality data that you know the match rates of, that serves your needs, the analysis is still going to be strong at the end of the day, and you're still going to be able to action off of the insights that come out of it, and everything is going to be okay, and we should embrace it.
Thank you, Kanya, and that grief counseling along the way. Joe, what about you? Tell me what you're most excited about, and if there's folks out there who haven't taken the steps, what should they do?
Yeah, I'm honestly like a small child before Christmas in terms of what we're able to access. I mean, it's you know, given the situation 5 years ago when we were attempting to do MTAs and just struggling and failing and getting frustrated. You know, my advice to anyone who's thinking about it is the best thing to do is start. And I think the best help you can get, finding the right partner who can help you with implementation is important. Also, I think, you know, one of the biggest challenges that we've had, because this is so new, the idea of sharing data is such an anathema to people that, you know, get a good lawyer who can help people understand that it's not really problematic. You know, that really helps.
That is not usually the recommendation I hear. So I think just to play through.
It's the can-do attitude. You know, I think one of the challenges we were finding is our in-house people didn't have experience. So they were going to external counsel whose advice is, well, we want to minimize risk for you, and this seems problematic. And having actually someone who wanted to solve the problem was really important to us.
That's such a beautiful thing to say. So the clean room architecture gives you the ability to help everybody be compliant, but then you really had to have some leadership to help nudge it along and get it done.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. All right, Chris, same to you. What are you most excited about, and what tips would you give to folks in the audience?
Well, I think there's an old Chinese curse that may you live in interesting times, and we do. And I would try to anticipate what's going to happen in 2 years and fail miserably. I'm sure there's agent-based things coming, but in the meantime, I've found for the work that we're doing, we're very much moving away from a service model that is looking at, you know, marketing in a bubble. We have a very different audience we're speaking to now. Finding insights that are relevant to a business is extremely important. I would say the one that I would probably recommend the most is one that Kanya referenced, which is a learning agenda. Having that at the outset is really important. Knowing what you're looking for 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road, very, very important. And then for the work that we're doing, high-touch consultancy, our hiring practices are everything. So somebody that knows quant, somebody that knows qual, you know, somebody that can look at any number of different data sets and be able to interpolate those, super important.
Very talent. I heard some talent. I heard some AI. I heard some learning agenda. So there you go. Chris's tips. And Lana, please tell us, what are you most excited about, and any tips for the audience?
Sure. What I'm most excited about is the opportunity to continue to grow. We know consumer habits are changing every single day. The consumers of today aren't the same of 5 years ago, even a year ago. More streaming than ever. Every media touch point is shoppable. And so as we look forward and think about the worlds of retail and media starting to come even closer together, how do we think about also bringing that retailer data and publisher data together into this cross-media ecosystem to continue to drive value and growth? So I'm really excited about that. In terms of what to do to get started, I think pick a use case. We talk a lot about minimal viable products. What's the minimum data that you need? What's the business question you're trying to answer? And just jump in and start tackling that, because that's the best way to learn and the quickest way to value.
I love all these tips for the audience. I hope you all got to absorb some of their amazing experience. They're out there doing the stuff that's really hard for the first time to make it easier for all of you to do it the second and the third and the 100th time. And before I wrap up, I do want to ask all of you to do two things for me. As Scott mentioned, I live in Altadena, and I am so lucky to have a tremendous community of people like the customers up on the stage and around us and at LiveRamp. And so I have had tremendous support from all of you, and we're navigating well. My family is safe and happy and healthy. And the ask that I have for you today is that you go up to the LiveRamp Hub Center and you consider donating to some of the great causes that we've identified as really helping people on the ground in our community. Those two causes are the Pasadena Unified School District, that is helping families get to stable housing while they are in this crazy time. We still don't have a penny from insurance. I'm lucky enough to be able to navigate that. Many, many families do not have that. So the Pasadena School District is one that I truly am supporting myself and would love to ask you all to help. And the other is the Black Freedom Fund, which is really helping the Black families in our community reestablish homes. Many in this situation, it is very tricky. They were generationally owned homes. And if you don't have a mortgage on your house, you don't really need to have fire insurance. And so many of them had opted not to have fire insurance. And we are really trying to invest to make sure that those families are able to rebuild their homes. Thank you for giving me the time and space to ask for that. You will also see an amazing demo of this product upstairs if you want to go do that as well. We really appreciate the time you spent with us this morning. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories with us. And I hope you have a great ramp up, everybody.